So here's the view from the new 4K drone from Captain Andy's Menorcan mullet. So he's docked offshore. Probably it looks like he's almost a half a mile away, maybe closer. But he launches the Menorcan Air Force, as I call it there, and the drone goes up there, and he gets nice close-up shots for us. So what we want to take a look at here is what has gone so far. So the entire roadway that was draped over the top of the bow here, remember that 4-lane section of I-695 is now gone. So here's what it looked like a week ago. Remember, there's the whole 4-lane road draped over the top. And take a look at it now. As I showed you in the previous video, they didn't quite get video of it happening, but there was quite a few pictures taken, as I showed you in the previous video, from Dead Rise Marine Photography. Now here, as we zoom in closer, here's some of the salvors on top working, and you can see they've prepared all of these white bags. So they're going around and they're grabbing all the chunks of debris that they can get, and they put them in these gigantic, huge, strong trash bags. These are kind of like industrial-sized contractor bags. The contractor bags are what I use for doing remodeling. And they're usually those big, thick 6 mil black garbage bags that are about 50 gallons or so. And that's where you put your debris when you're doing demolition and stuff like that, so they don't bust and tear through. These are made to be carried by the crane. And I like this action with the forklift going through in the background. It really adds to the depth of and size of everything too. Now, as we look here, this right here, this is one of the 4 support pillars on the bridge pier. And then this one right here. So as we look here on this awesome photograph that Mark from Dead Rise Marine Photography shot, he actually got a rainbow in the background the other day. But this is what the bridge support pier looks like. So this was the one that was still standing. And you got these 4 pillars, and that's what you saw draped over the top of the bow of the Dali, is that you've got these 4 pillars. I don't know what happened to the other 3. They may have just gone into the water. It's unknown at this point. Remember, Dali was coming sort of at this angle and hit them, and boom, and it went off that way. Everything sheared off this way. The pier cap starts here, and it goes all the way across. And I believe this is the other end of it over here. And I think the workers here are actually standing on it. That's what I'm a little bit uncertain of, because we're not close enough to really get a whole full resolution view. But this looks like part of that concrete right there. See, so I believe that what we were staring at was this part sheared off all the way across. And we were looking at this flat part is what I think those guys were standing on right there. And so here's like probably one of the clearest photos I've ever seen of the pier support that got sliced by the Dali ship when she hit right here. Now, I think that it was probably sliced somewhere up around here, because the top of the bow of the ship is probably somewhere around here. I'm not really sure. So, and it probably sliced through one of these seams, even though there's rebar going through them too. This is a likely point where you can easily get a shearing action when you crash into it. And then coming back and looking at the drone shot, you can see here that they put up a couple of 10 by 10 blue tents here on the bow of the ship. So that, again, that helps add to the scale here. It's a good measurement to let you know like what size we're talking about in this area and just how big these pier caps are. The rest that we're looking at here are other parts of the bridge truss that the Weeks crane can easily probably lift this whole section up here, I would imagine. This right here is a catwalk from the top of the bridge, as is this part over here. More guys walking down over here on the left. Now they're waiting for the other barge to be delivered here, because they're going to be transferring some of this debris off momentarily. Now here's a better sort of an isometric view of that pier cap. And so I believe this is one here, and I believe the other one, if it's still intact, may be on this side over here. And the guys are simply walking on the meat of it over here, the connecting point that connects both of the pillars together from the top of the pier cap. Now here's a good side view of that catwalk from the top of the bridge here. So this is why I think they should easily be able to remove this And the Weeks crane, I think with that big spreader bar and maybe 4 or 6 cables, should be able to lift up this section of this pillar. And so a lot of people have asked us too, well, hey, what about the containers? How are they going to remove all of these crushed containers? Well, quite simply, I think they need to get rid of all of this debris here first, because this debris is pinching all of these containers down, or at least most of them. And so you want to get this freed up out of the way so you can now have full access to get into this area here. And maybe you want to strap together some of these that are dangling with some of the ones that are somewhat safe, and try to come up with a way to rescue as many of these as you can without them falling into the water. And by the way, here's the anchor chain on the starboard side. So it comes over here, and I believe somewhere it got cut, and somewhere here is where they sheared it off. And then right down here, this blue square area right in here is where the anchor chain would have normally popped out. And I suspect, see how far out this sticks? I think this may have been what started the shearing of the bridge pier, or possibly it was the rim of the bow that might have done it. But either one of those two sticks out far enough. And once again, Mark over at Dead Rise Marine Photography came through for us with probably the clearest shot yet that shows the anchor chain. So I want to zoom in over here to it. And so it looks to me like, I believe it's sheared off right there. So here's where it reels up. There's the chain, and boom, I think it just stops right there at this point. Now, as we zoom out a little bit and look, you can see here the roadway has already been removed. And what I believe is left here is, I think these are the longitudinal stringers that support the bridgeway underneath. So for example, when you look here, you're probably looking at all of these lengthwise stringers here that you see underneath the bridge. So as usual, I'll put a link to Mark's Dead Rise Facebook page. You got to go there and see all of the photos that he takes. They're just incredible. And I've only just shown you a small percentage of his photos. And here there's another reel for one of the mooring lines. And then he was zooming in here to see some of the guys walking around on top of the bridge. And there's Andy's ship right there, Menorcan Mullet, and he's bringing in the drone to change the batteries. I will put a link to Captain Andy's Menorcan Mullet channel down below. Make sure you go check out all of those great 4K videos that he uploads. There's some really good stuff there. So then he captured the Weeks crane, removing, here's 2 of those large garbage bags that you see there. And so, as you know, those are like, probably each of those is 2 or 3 times the size of my contractor bags that I use. And we're going to swivel it around from the Dali ship and deposited it onto one of the 2 barges that just showed up and parked right next door to the Weeks crane. So I'm going to speed that up for you now. And here's they lower the garbage bags here into that debris dumpster. Look at the precision aim that they have with that Weeks crane. How he just aimed it to go right in perfect at the edge and into the corner there. Nice and packed in perfectly. So that when they go to stick in additional bags in there, they'll just stack them up, line them up nice. And this is the sort of tedious work that they're going to be doing here over the next few weeks. It's just loading 2 bags at a time in between removing the larger chunks of truss and hopefully the containers. And day in and day out, this is what they do with this Weeks crane, just swiveling back and forth and dumping garbage bags into those bins. When Captain Andy was piloting back out of the harbor when he was done, he noticed over here that the Chessie 1000 crane had attached onto that section of the last remaining large bridge truss that's still sticking up out of the water. Remember, the Dali was parked right here next to it. This was on the starboard side. This was not the part that was blown off, I don't think. I think this was on the starboard side of it. But he got some close-up shots, and I believe that was his 400 millimeter zoom lens. He showed it once, so I wasn't quite sure like how big, but it appeared to be 400 millimeters because that's a similar size that I have on my camera. But take a look at some of these pictures that he shot there, showing the close-ups of it, and just look at the size of these chains compared to the workers. Yeah. So I was watching this also on the Streamtime Live channel today, and I saw them, they had it all sitting here in position like this and hanging in tension, but they still didn't lift it up. I suspect it might be because it was very windy out today, and maybe they just didn't want to move it in that heavy wind. But they were getting it all set up, and I don't want to steal any more of Captain Andy's thunder, so make sure you get over to his channel, and I'll put the link in the video description below, and watch his video in full 4K, and the pictures that he shot, you'll be amazed by them. And so here is that view from the Streamtime Live channel, and you can see they've got the chains there, and they seem to be all set up and ready to go all day yesterday, so I don't know why it wasn't pulled up other than the wind. And then here is a site that we haven't seen in months here at the Port of Baltimore, and we thought we would never see for God knows how long. But look at this, man. A cruise ship is leaving the port with passengers on it. And these guys have the best view in the world, looking straight down on the Chessie 1000 as she's struggling to try to lift this bridge truss out of the water. Look at all of the passengers there mustering out on the deck there trying to get a look at this. What an incredible view these folks have as they go right by it there with the tugboats in tow. And off she goes, taking her passengers to a fun-filled vacation cruise. This is the Vision of the Seas cruise ship. Pretty good-sized one, too. I would not mind being on that right now. So when they move the Dali, it's going to move from Baltimore here. It's going to go out the harbor there, and it's going to go straight down here, down the Chesapeake area. And they're going to take it all the way down here to Norfolk, Virginia, to the port there. Now, once they get it here, nobody was really specific about where it's going. I have not seen a single report saying exactly where they're going to take it here. Now, there is some terminals and stuff here all over the place. Marine terminals here. You can see container ships. These are where they're loading and unloading. That's probably not where they would take it. They would probably take it to an unused dock somewhere. Like there's plenty of them here. And then over here is more the naval yard. Now, I don't know if they would take it there, and I don't know if the Navy does work on ships that are not the Navy's ships or not. Look at this. You got some aircraft carriers there. Look at that massive one. And then over here, this one caught my eye. This looks like that nurse ship that made the headlines during COVID when they brought it up to New York City.
Action against the COVID-19 epidemic. He said one of those ships would be operational in New York Harbor by next week. That's nonsense. It will not be there next week.
And the naval hospital ship, the USNS Comfort, you see it right there on your screen, has just docked in New York City. The ship will be used to house non-coronavirus patients.
But that's all we know, folks, about that it's going to Norfolk, Virginia, and we don't know when at this time. Now, you know, here on this channel, we do more than just engineering disasters. We do the Home Depot and Costco and Lowe's walkthroughs, and we also do the big DIY projects for your house. And after this video, make sure you check out this one over here of the double-decker cabinets that I did up in that kitchen. That's an incredible engineering project with a refrigerator, a large refrigerator at a 45-degree angle in the corner. Very difficult project. Check that one out. And then when you're done with that one, make sure you check out this video here, which shows you everything you need to know on how to install laminate flooring in your house. Well, thanks so much for joining us tonight, and we'll see you on the next one.